The screen glared back at me. Another blinking cursor. Another empty page. My chest felt tight, a dull ache that had become my constant companion. This wasn't just a moment of writer's block. This was my life, stuck on pause. I used to be full of fire. Or at least, I thought I was. I had a head bursting with ideas, a journal crammed with plans. Start a project, learn a skill, build something meaningful. Each one felt like a promise I made to myself. But those promises, they always expired. I'd get excited. I'd sketch out a detailed blueprint. I'd tell a few friends. Then the doubt would sneak in. A whisper at first, then a roar. Who are you to do this? You don't have the time. It's too hard. You'll fail just like before. The worst part wasn't the external setbacks. It was the internal surrender. I'd feel that familiar wave of overwhelm wash over me. Big vision would suddenly feel impossible. So I'd put it off. Just for a day. Then a week. Then I'd convince myself it wasn't the right time or I wasn't the right person. I spent years like that, watching documentaries about people who did things, reading stories about people who created things. And all the while, my own dreams sat on the shelf, gathering dust. Quiet regret settled deep in my bones. It was a subtle, constant hum of dissatisfaction. I'd scroll through social media, seeing others achieve, grow, build. I'd feel this peculiar mix of admiration and a stinging personal shame. Like, I was watching life happen to everyone else, while I just watched. My days were a blur of obligations. Work, chores, scrolling, sleep. The unique spark I once felt, the one that dreamed of doing something different, had slowly dimmed. I wasn't failing spectacularly. I was failing quietly. I was just existing. And a part of me, the part that still remembered those early promises, knew I was meant for more. But how to bridge that gap between the person I was and the person I desperately wanted to become? It felt like an ocean. One Tuesday evening, after another especially long and mind-numbing day, I sat down at my kitchen table. The silence of the apartment felt heavy. I spotted a crumpled piece of paper under a stack of old mail. It was an ancient to-do list, probably from months ago. Right there, in messy handwriting, it said, "Start outlining the story about the old lighthouse." My first instinct was to crumple it further and throw it away. Another failed attempt. But something stopped me. A tiny, almost imperceptible voice said, "What if you just didn't try to outline? What if I didn't try to write a chapter? What if I didn't even think about the whole story? What if I just opened a blank document?" I wrote one sentence. The idea felt so small, so laughably insignificant, that it almost bypassed my internal critic entirely. It wasn't ambitious. It wasn't impressive. It was just one sentence. I pulled out my old laptop. The screen flickered to life. I opened a word processor, and I typed one simple, slightly clumsy sentence. Then I closed the lid. That was it. Next morning, I did it again. For work, before coffee, just 5 minutes. I typed another sentence, and another. Some days the words flowed. Other days, it was like pulling teeth. I'd stare at the screen, the cursor mocking me with its blinking regularity. The old doubts would try to creep back in. This is terrible, no one will care, you're wasting your time. But I had made a silent agreement with myself. Not to be brilliant, not to be perfect, just to show up. For 5 minutes, or 10. Sometimes it was just one sentence. Sometimes it was just editing a paragraph I'd written the day before. The goal wasn't a finished story. The goal was just doing it. Today, this tiny habit started to ripple. I applied the same logic to other things. I wanted to feel stronger, healthier. So I stopped thinking about epic workout routines. I decided I would do one push-up. Just one. Every morning. Felt ridiculous at first, but one push-up led to 2. 2 led to 5. Some mornings, I only did 1. Other mornings, I surprised myself and did 10. I wanted to learn a new skill, something creative with my hands. I'd buy supplies, then they'd sit untouched. This time, I put them on my desk. And every evening, I touched them. Just for a minute. Picked up a brush. Held a tool. Slowly, hesitantly, I started making small marks, small shapes. Most of them were terrible. Truly awful. I failed more often than I succeeded. I wasted materials. I got frustrated. I wanted to quit many times. But then, I'd remember the sentence. The one push-up. The 5 minutes. It wasn't about the grand achievement. It was about the simple act of showing up. Progress was agonizingly slow. Invisible to anyone but me. People didn't suddenly say, "Wow, you're so productive." My life didn't transform overnight. There were still bad days. Days where I felt that familiar emptiness, that old shame. Days where I skipped. Days where I felt like a complete fraud. But then, the next day, I'd pick it up again. One sentence. One push-up. 1 minute. Months turned into a year. And then something incredible happened. I had a finished first draft of that story. It wasn't polished. It wasn't ready for anyone to read. But it existed. All 50,000 messy words of it. And the biggest breakthrough wasn't the manuscript itself. It was the realization that I had seen something through. I, the person who always quit, had actually finished something. That felt like unlocking a hidden door. The doubt hadn't vanished. It still whispered, but it no longer had the power to paralyze me. I understood, truly understood, that the big impossible thing was just a collection of countless tiny possible things, one after another. I kept writing. I kept moving. I kept learning. My health improved. My sense of purpose solidified. I started applying for opportunities I never would have dreamed of before. Some didn't work out. Many didn't work out. But the fear of failure, while still present, no longer stopped me from taking the first step. Because I knew, deep down, that the first step, no matter how small, was always possible. I wasn't waiting for motivation anymore. I was creating momentum. I was building a life, one tiny imperfect choice at a time. And that quiet ache of regret had been replaced by a quiet sense of pride. Not pride in perfection, but pride in perseverance. So what did I learn? It wasn't about finding a magic bullet. It wasn't about willpower, not really. It was about consistency. Kind of consistency that is so small, so unglamorous, that you almost dismiss it. Power is not in the size of your dream or the grandness of your ambition. It's in the steady, undeniable rhythm of showing up. Every single day, or most days, even when you don't feel like it, even when it feels pointless, even when the progress seems invisible. It's about understanding that the monumental task is simply a series of tiny, manageable tasks, strung together with unwavering intention. If you're out there feeling that same quiet ache I used to feel, watching your own dreams gather dust, I want you to know something. I see you. I know that feeling of being stuck, of yearning for more but not knowing where to begin. It's a heavy weight, isn't it? You don't need a massive burst of motivation. You don't need to suddenly become a different person. You just need to choose. Choose tiny. Choose simple. Day, choose one small step. To open that document, to pick up that tool, to take that first breath, to stand up, to write that sentence, to send that email, to move that one muscle, to clear that one small space, to read that one page, to ask that one question, to make that one phone call, to take that 1 minute, to do that one thing you've been putting off.